So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can identify if your cold outreach is landing in spam. And there's a lot of misinformation around this topic, typically from people that don't necessarily know what they're talking about. And so in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what we do to identify whether or not we're landing in spam, and then also a few tips on how you can move forward once you've identified that you're landing in spam. And just so you know that we know what we're talking about, we are a certified Instantly.ai expert. This is the largest cold email tool in the world. So they have independently verified our case studies and they recommend us as an outbound partner. In addition to that, we've also worked with over 100 different B2B companies setting up their cold email systems. So we've seen everything there is to see over the past 2-3 years when it comes to the spam algorithms, the changes, how to identify issues, so on and so forth. So let's get right into it. So the first thing you want to look at when you want to know if your cold outreach is landing in spam is the reply rate. So you basically want to make sure that at all times you should be sitting over a 1% reply rate. And that's sort of just what we've seen. There's not really any science behind this number, but it's just based on a ton of campaigns that we've ran. And typically, when it's under 1%, there are lingering deliverability issues. Now, if you're hovering around 1%, maybe you're a bit above, that typically indicates that there could be other factors as well as perhaps some deliverability issues. It could be that the offer is not resonating, the list is bad, and that, of course, can play a factor too. But as soon as you get under 1%, you just have to assume that there are deliverability issues. And so if you see that you've sent 2,000 emails or more in the last 48 hours and you haven't seen enough responses, then you want to immediately pause your campaigns. The reason why you want to immediately pause is because if you just keep sending, you're basically just digging the hole deeper and deeper. So what you want to do after 48 hours, you haven't seen enough responses, is you want to pause the campaign. You want to re-verify your list. You want to perhaps change the list completely. You want to change the copies and just do some radical changes because you really need to fix it fast. And you can't typically fix something like that with just minor changes. So this is how you really optimize with speed, is acting proactively like this. And the next thing I also want to mention here is that you should not be tracking open rate. And the reason why you don't want to be tracking open rate is because open rate actually diminishes email deliverability. So in this case, the cure kind of becomes the disease here. So and a lot of people use open rate tracking to test their deliverability, but it's not really accurate anyways. So I would highly recommend not tracking open rate. And another thing that sort of we've noticed is that if you look at the general sentiment of the audience and you're getting a lot of negativity or hostility from the audience, this can actually indicate that you are getting a lot of manual spam reports. Because think about all the people that are not responding, and they might also be as angry as these people, but instead of responding, they just report you to spam. And so that's typically an indication for me that we're going to have deliverability issues that are very imminent when we do see those very negative or hostile replies. So keep in mind, if that happens, you might want to change up your messaging. You might want to change something because it could indicate that people are not happy with receiving your outreach, even if you're getting a few leads doing that. A pro tip is to track the 10% of worst performing domains and then just replacing them ASAP. This is generally a good practice. This make sure that you get rid of the worst domains. There is a practice where you can basically rewarm domains, but it's kind of time consuming and it doesn't always work. So I would recommend that if you want to optimize for speed and you really want to get this right, just completely remove them and get new domains for the bottom 10% of the performing domains. Step 2 is to look at public blacklists. So basically, public blacklists are, as the name suggests, blacklists of specific domains. And this is publicly available information, so you can actually look it up. And what that's going to do is it's going to, your domain is going to be blacklisted and certain recipients cannot receive your emails. And so, you want to check that. You can go on a tool like MX Toolbox to see this. And this is especially important for enterprise, but it's also important if you're sending to SMBs and mid-market. So you want to check this. You want to make sure you're not on any of these blacklists. And if you find that some of your domains are on a blacklist, you basically just want to replace the domain. Again, as I mentioned above, there are ways to solve this, but in my opinion, it's not really worth the juice is not worth the squeeze here. You just want to replace the domain completely. Like you can reach out and get your domain removed from a blacklist, but again, not really worth your time. The third step is to conduct inbox placement tests. And essentially what an inbox placement test is it's like an isolated system where you can determine your overall placement rate. So you have like your accounts that you want to test, and they're sending emails to accounts owned by whatever sort of company is conducting this test for you. And so one example is Instantly.ai, the tool that we use. They have a bunch of email accounts that they have for this purpose, and so we send emails to those accounts. Those accounts will then report back to us if they landed in spam or not. The reason why this is a whole concept is because Google and Microsoft, they do not share this information with the sender. So in other words, the sender cannot see if the recipient actually received the email or it landed in spam, unless, of course, you have access to the recipient's folder, which you do in an isolated test like this. And so that's basically how it works. I have a screenshot here of sort of what it looks like. You can see here inbox spam, inbox spam, and you can see the provider. So the recipient in this case was based in the US. This was a business email address, and it was Microsoft. And so that's the sort of information you can get. It's pretty useful. And what you have to keep in mind here, though, is that these results are not always completely indicative of results in real inboxes. It is a bit different because sometimes Google and Microsoft, they will sort of know that the recipient in this case is not a normal email address. They see the unusual activity, and typically this can provide sort of a bit of a skewed image of what's actually going on. But it's still useful. What I will say is that if you're actually failing with inbox placement tests, you can be absolutely sure that you're also failing with real inboxes. Now, if you're performing super well in normal inbox placement tests, you can probably you can draw conclusions from that, but again, you could still be having deliverability issues even if you're performing well in them. But again, if you're performing really bad in these inbox placement tests, just switch the infrastructure immediately. So step 4 is to just check your copy. Because this can actually be a huge indication without looking at any of the other stuff that you're landing in spam. And so if you have a lot of common spam words, if you have links, if you have HTML in your email, you want to just remove that. And so you can use something like Mail Meteor. They have a spam word checker. You can see, again, here's an example here where, words like financial, finance, ASAP, also stuff like guarantee, percentages, large numbers. These are all things that you want to ideally remove from your email copy. And so, you can use a tool like this. And then also you want to go ahead and just remove any links if you're having deliverability issues. Now, in some cases, links can actually increase conversion. So you want to sort of balance it, but you should know that it does reduce deliverability. So once you've actually identified spam issues, as I mentioned above, speed wins. Just do replacements. Don't bother. It's going to be way easier for you. It's going to be obviously more. There's going to be a higher investments. The investment is going to be bigger because you have to replace them and actually buy new domains, but it's worth it. Also have a rotation system, so don't just have a backup plan. Have other domains that are ready to go immediately while you replace the domains that are dysfunctional. So if let's say I have a system, I have 50 domains in total. We're sending from 25 of the domains. Each of these domains have 3 sending accounts. And so then we have those other 25 domains. They're ready to go in case anything breaks down with the 25 domains we're actually using. And don't overanalyze and don't overthink. Again, I see some people getting completely lost in the deliverability world, and they're talking to all these people and all these different infrastructure providers and data providers and verification tools. Calm down. The most effective way to actually just make sure your deliverability is on point is sending a good offer to the right people. That's it. It's that simple. And so people tend to overanalyze this stuff and really overthink it. We actually don't overthink it at all. Of course, we have all the different backup plans. These are like very valid things to do, but we don't overthink it. We don't obsess over this because it's a waste of time. We'd rather just test new copy, new audiences to find people that actually want to receive our emails. Because if they want to receive our emails, again, this is what the whole algorithm is built for. The whole spam algorithm, the whole point of it is just to make sure that emails that are being delivered are also emails that are desired by the recipient. And so if you have that as your North Star, you're generally going to be okay. So that's going to be it for this video. Hope it was helpful. And if you want somebody to install a system with best practices in your company and run it for you, and just have cold email be one of your main customer acquisition channels, you can check out our website www.scalespro, or you can click the link in the description and have a chat directly with me, and I can see if I can help you. Thanks for watching.